Welcome, folks. Hello, hi, everybody. Wonderful Sunday afternoon. And this is the 7th episode of Take Wing, a series of conversations that we have. Started about a few months back. This is the 7th episode in which I interview people, interesting people from the fields of content development in its myriad forms, and publishing and all its tributaries, including book illustrators, editors, publishers, writers, for sure. So that's the kind of world that we interact with. And the idea is to hear from their journeys, hear from their stories. The questions range, they're freewheeling conversations, and the questions don't really stick to a particular trajectory, and they're not really prescripted. So we go with the flow, but the essence is to understand from the guest their life lessons, their professional evolution, what they love about their work, some of the things that went well for them, some of the bloopers they might have made, so that we can benefit at their expense. So that's the that's the kind of chat we have. Very informal, and generally it's a very easygoing conversation. And today we have, in the continuing, with the tradition of having interesting guests for in immersive conversations, we have with us Asavari Singh with us this afternoon. Hi, Asavari, and welcome.
Hi.
So I'm going to read the note now that you prepared, all right? So your short, the profile note as an introductory thing,
okay,
before we delve into the questions. And there, of course, we're going to unearth many more layers, hopefully, of your profession, your career, your work and stuff, all right?
Okay.
Asavari Singh is a writer and editor with master's degrees, my God, in applied psychology and gender studies. Her work has appeared in HuffPost India, Firstpost, News 18, and the Indian Express, among other publications. She has commissioned and edited several Lonely Planet travel guides, written 4 books for children, and recently co-edited 2 books on gender violence in India. In addition to editing projects, she is currently working as a research writer for a historical nonfiction project. She regularly writes in-depth features for an East Asian digital magazine called Rabbit Hole. And I've read a few of those, and I'm going to bring that up later today.
Oh, my.
So welcome again. And friends, I hope all of you are not in this Diwali hangover, which we were just talking about. Jyotirmoy is in a chole bhature wala hangover. I'm a sweet-induced hangover. So I don't know about you guys, but I hope this will be an enlightening, stimulating conversation that keeps you awake.
Oh, my.
Of that I have no doubts. You just have to start listening to Asavari once, and then, yeah. So, okay, Asavari, let me start with this. Yeah. If I were to ask you for a quick, what descriptors would you use for yourself today as a professional? How would you quickly want to describe yourself?
Well, I'm thorough and I have boundaries, and I believe that professional relationships work both ways. And I think that's my biggest learning now, after years of, going through the usual process of, being undervalued as an editor, which is because, we're such an invisible kind of work we do. We are back-end workers. We're not there for the glory, so to speak. So I think for us to value ourselves comes a little bit later in many of our careers. So I think now, I see more mutuality in my interactions with my employers now than I used to. So I mean,
more mutuality, you said.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on. Yes. Go on. Anything else?
No, are you talking about general editorial, skills that one has built up over the years, or writing skills? So, I mean, specifically, what would you like me to talk about?
No. That was just an opener, and you answered it well. So, when you said it very rightly, especially for editors, that we are behind the scenes people, and I think we think of ourselves as behind the scenes. We're very conscious all the time that we're not out there in the limelight. We are not the guy whose work is, really seen for what it is, and we're not really that kind of people. So how did you get used to that idea and overgrow that? And you speak of mutuality, which means I suppose being recognized for your work, for the value that you add, correct? That's
definitely. I mean,
so how did that realization come about? What led to it? What were some experiences that possibly?
Yeah, so I think many of us may have experienced this. We have kind of a lateral career trajectory as freelance editors and writers.
Right.
So you get into a lot of fields, you get into lots of lines of editing, writing, different environments like the news environment, publishing, different genres. So over time, I guess you start seeing the value of your work and what you actually bring to the table. You see the actual outcome, the product, because it may not be visible. If, your name is not normally there on the cover, but you can start asking for it. But stuff like that. Over time, you see what you bring, and that brings more confidence to it, and then you kind of value your profession more, and then you do better. In terms of just earning enough and things like that.
So aspects of mutuality would mean, what comes to my mind is credit. So for instance, if these are books or journals, then one possibility is that you could ask for your name to be mentioned in the credits, right? For that role.
In the credits, you try to build up a byline. You actually try to build up, because, just being an editor alone, and, it's difficult to present your work, to show your skills. And so you do have to kind of build up your own portfolio at the same time, in terms of your name being out there, whether it's through a blog,
right,
or whether it's through getting your byline published somewhere, things like that, and of course credits in the books that you edit. And when people don't offer that, then you got to question why not.
It could also mean more reasonable timelines, more respect in the softer aspects of work, better pay, all of that.
Yeah. In terms of contracts, like not working in a very casual way anymore, making sure that you have mutual expectations of each other. It's not about them having expectations of you, but vice versa.
Right.
Which so those things I think come with time, actually, because of the shadowy nature of our work.
Right. I think part of the game or part of the battle is also about overcoming our introversion. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a big time introvert, and I like this profession because I don't like being in the limelight. I mean, that's never something I've craved. But at the same time, I know I need to be somewhat visible to, have proof that, I've done this. And, this is what I can do. So, I mean, you can't completely hide under a rock, even though I wish I could. But yeah.
So you have to come out, peep out once in a while,
You
right?
do have to peep out, and you have to sell yourself a little bit, but not in an empty way, but through things you create.
Yeah. And as much as it's important for us to peep out to get the sunshine from under the rock, I think it's also important for us, for that act, because it lets other people see us. Hey, that's a tortoise coming from under the rock. So there is this person called Asavari or somebody.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's also till the market.
It takes a lot of time, though. Yeah. It took me a lot of time, though. So, so I had to overcome a lot of, obstacles, self-created, some of them. So, yeah.
Mind telling us some of those self-created obstacles? Self-doubt, for instance, was that part of the thing? What else? I'm assuming it's more psychological.
Yeah, definitely. Like, in terms of not wanting to self-promote, and, and I still have a strong inner resistance to doing that stuff. I'm like, my work should speak for itself, and that doesn't really happen. So you have to speak about it yourself, and you have to sell yourself, and all those things, of course, came later to me. So, yeah. And though even in the earlier crappy jobs that you may do, you do learn stuff. The skills are transferable. They do add to your overall growth, that lateral growth trajectory that I was talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So how did you ease into this kind of acceptance and overcoming those inner barriers and starting to claim what's rightfully due to you? What were some steps, and what would you like to share with us? What are some things that others can also do? Because I'm sure this is quite a common problem here.
I started learning that. I learned, for example, that the time you really get screwed in the process, of employment is when you, at the beginning, don't set the terms correctly. Later on, many of us get resentful and get angry and we quit and we do those things. But right at the beginning of any engagement, you have to set terms properly, in terms of how much money you expect, and don't be afraid to ask for what you want. At the most, they laugh at you. I mean, but if you don't ask, you're never going to get it. So, just to kind of overcome those, barriers to just being a little, shameless, so to speak.
Assertive for yourself.
Yeah, assertive, exactly. And see, I'm using words like shameless still. So it's kind of very ingrained to kind of be humble and, not ask for things. So, yeah, so that's a learning process still. Yeah.
Did you have, you are a writer, right? You have a byline with a rabbit hole. You've edited and commissioned a Lonely Travel series of books for them. You've edited children's books. And we also spoke about research-based editing, right? Various roles in organizations, correct? Is there something else that I've missed out? Is there something else you've done in your...
I mean, I've worked as as a features writer for several magazines. Right. And I've kind of vacillated between writing and editing, and always preferred editing, actually. But writing is what you need if you really want to kind of, slowly build up a name for yourself. And even if you're later on in life, like, I'm 40 and I'm kind of starting that now more seriously. So at any point in time, you can decide to do that. And I like editing for the anonymity, not being responsible for mistakes, openly, writer ne likha hai, uska mistake hai. Nobody says that, the editor's fault always. So
right. So nobody's going to pelt you for that.
Yeah. So it's a kind of a, safety shield also. So it depends on your personality, your temperament, all those things play into it.
So it's interesting that you say this, and I've noticed that, when we spoke earlier too, the slight confusion, or maybe it's not confusion, but the oscillation between your identities as a writer and as an editor. But of late, I can also see that you've been writing more and more, especially for the Rabbit Hole, right?
Yeah, I'm writing, I'm long form writing for books. Yeah.
Yes. Wait. I've not finished. The question is long form, yes, but I also noticed that you pick up controversial themes, you pick up stuff that are important issues, important themes, and you make no bones about your point of view, right? So you write in a very, I wouldn't call that an introvert's tone, all right? So how do you reconcile these two? As an editor, you have one kind of identity, but as a writer, you have another. So what goes on in your mind? What's the dynamic in your mind?
I don't think any of our introverts, when it comes to the written word, I mean, that's where we can really be loud. But of course, in terms of face-to-face interactions is different. People, being around people's physicality, corporeality makes you a little nervous. So that's it. That's the way it is for me. So when I'm writing, I don't feel at all introverted. And I don't feel the need to really mince words.
You don't mince words at all?
Yeah, they keep editing out the really bad stuff I write. Yeah. So being on the other side is a little, oh God, the editor's at it again.
Yeah, I know. I think they are trying to make up for, they're trying to be a little politically correct. I think that's possibly
not the Rabbit Hole. Not the Rabbit Hole. They don't try to be
not them, but generally media in general.
Yeah.
But in Rabbit Hole, I noticed a couple of interesting themes. Like one was about, being fat, but at what cost? So how far would you go for that? I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And, commonly, I don't know, there's one theory that goes around these days, and I've read that too, that, even if you're fat, love your body, you're fine, you're okay. So yes, all that lovey-dovey stuff is very nice, but you've also taken it on basis science. You're saying that need not be always true. And, there are some other body indicators and health metrics, right? So I like the kind of, the way you took on that theme, you wrote about it, and how you do not mince words.
Yeah, no, that's just a pet peeve of mine. There's certain kind of cultural theory that's in vogue nowadays, and it really irritates me, and so a lot of my subjects kind of address that. So it's called, like there's something called critical race theory, and that kind of says that basically everything is a social construct. There's no reality, and that's a kind of a dangerous thought process, because it can also be appropriated by really, really obnoxious elements, whoever they may be.
Yes.
And so I like engaging with those ideas, which goes back to my studies in gender studies and so on, which deal with cultural theory. So I'm kind of using my old education now. After trying,
And I can see that in some way or the other, that education and the debates, the discussions you might have had then have shaped your thinking, have kind of set you up for what you're today, in some sense.
Everything sets you up for things, even bad experiences. Everything sets you up, and you just take the good with the bad and just see what you can do. Yeah.
But tell me, did you have leanings, editorial leanings, writerly leanings early on in life, or not? And when did you discover? Yeah, just tell us about those days and those realizations.
Well, my mom's an editor. So I had someone to look up to right there.
So what kind did she mainly edit, or does she?
She was into book editing. She is still into book editing.
Okay.
And she works freelance for different publishers. I don't do her kind of editing, but so there was always a focus on language, trying not to butcher language, those things. So those things were always given priority. And and I came into writing. Actually, when I started out, I took whatever I could get. I worked for writing about real estate and franchises and subjects that really bore me very deeply, but I did it for the skills that I could build up.
You wrote with loathing.
Yep.
So why was that? That was to hone your skills, or to earn money?
Yeah, to get there's no money in it. To get your foot in. I was like getting paid what, $3,000 a month, and mooching of my parents and my so not for the money but to get a foot in the door. You do start
and a
out
portfolio.
that way. And a portfolio, and then from there you keep moving forward. Once you have something to show for it, you can't start with, you can't become a hero immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
So then, I don't know, but I'm just getting the sense that working with Lonely Planet, and commissioning those books would have been a breath of fresh air for you.
Yeah, before that I did work for DK Eyewitness Travel Guides too. So I'd been in that area. I worked for India Today Travel Plus also for a while. So so travel was an area I'd already had built up some experience in. But yeah, that was a great gig. Unfortunately, Lonely Planet India has shut down. Currently, yeah.
So were you working with them until they shut down?
Until about 2 years ago, I was freelancing on and off.
Okay.
Editing.
Right. So what did editing and commissioning these books involve? Give us some nitty-gritty. These were travel books, right? Travel guides.
These are travel books, yeah.
So tell us, what does that involve?
Yeah, so it involved you start up with some market research, what's in demand, things like that. Like when I first started out, we did a lot of focus group interviews. So it was really identifying what kind of people would be reading those books in India. What was the market? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then of course, then we had these workshops where we tried to identify good writers. And so this was when the organization first came to India. We did a lot of that, trying to get the right talent and how to instruct them, how to acclimatize them to the style that was expected of them.
Right.
Making a lot of templates. So it was a very, very painstaking process. You can see the very templatized books, with certain elements, facts about this, recommendations about that. So yeah. So it was like basically beginning to end work, starting from the market research to actually just proofreading the final copy.
Wow, that's a good spread of work, yeah, and much more than an editor typically is involved in, right?
Yeah, and like in India, they do know how to kind of get lots of work out of you. So so you do lots of profiles, but that's okay. You build your skills again. So
but you also learn a lot. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was good. Yeah.
Right.
But then it does start getting a little, after a while, I can't
repetitive?
Really. Yes. Yeah, and travel writing, I personally feel limited by it, and I wouldn't really want to do it again.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not really my area of interest, so to speak.
And that's possibly because of the templatized nature. I don't think you're a templatized person at all.
No, I'm quite a templatized person actually, but I don't like formulaic writing. Yeah, so I know travel writing can be very interesting, very fascinating. You write
like
Pico Iyer, yeah, but travel guides, that kind of kind of format, it's a little bit it gets tedious after the point.
Yes, and you have to stick to that format, right? You have to present information in a certain way.
And even in magazines, it tends to be very, it's junkets and all of that. So there's not much room to be creative or opinionated, and you're using the same adjectives over and over again. And so I just don't want to go there again.
The soul is missing, I think, from much of travel writing.
Yeah, no, it's there. I guess for certain people, some people are so passionate about it and they do a great job. So, but that's not me though. I'm not passionate about it, so I won't do it.
So what kind of editing and writing do you love to do? And have you really enjoyed in your career so far?
Actually, I'm really enjoying the historical nonfiction project I'm doing right now. It's like, that kind of academic rigor, yet trying to build in, try to make it like a story, making it creative, but, really being careful about the research. I like that it's immersive and it's deep, and I prefer depth over, like ascendancy or just, so that building expertise, I think in any field is what excites me. Surface level work gets boring quickly, though of course it has its advantages, but yeah, I get my juice from really in-depth stuff.
In-depth stuff. And you also prefer depth over breadth. I think you prefer depth over breadth.
Yeah. So in the news environment, you tend to work really fast, and I'm probably going to be doing some more of that in the very near future again, because I've got something coming up. But that's fast surface work. You're fixing language, adjusting sentences around, but you're not really adding that much. So with slower projects like this, it allows that immersion and the ability to really contribute. Even if you don't get major credit for it, you learn something.
Right. And I think there's a deeper sense of satisfaction that you've really contributed to the project.
Yeah, and if it's difficult and you've cried over it and you screamed and shouted and you actually managed to do it, then of course it's a feeling of accomplishment. If it's easy, how often is it really worth it?
Yeah, then what's the big deal there?
Yeah, so when you start getting really comfortable, that's when you know you're in trouble. So you have to be, yeah.
So no, go on. You have to be.
No, I'm just saying you need to be uncomfortable. If you're really comfortable, then you need to kind of relook at what you're doing. Because
So
then
this
you're probably
project,
stagnating.
yeah, absolutely. So this project, tell us whatever you can tell us about it. Some sort of an outline, a flavor of what are you trying to do?
I'm very NDA'd up.
Oh, have you signed 40 NDAs now?
Yeah, I've signed like 2 or 3 of them. So the thing is that, yeah, so just the essence is it goes back into Indian history and tries to tell it as a story, like a kind of it kind of tries to make the characters come alive and certain events that we feel we know a lot about. We try to say some new things on that based on primary materials we've acquired through archives.
All right. Is it about a place from far back in the past? Is it about what?
Not very far back in the past, but from the independence period. Yeah. Okay. About certain things that kind of nobody really talks about much. Yeah. So that's interesting. So it's kind of a bit of digging, a bit of investigating is cool.
Have you done similar digging up related work, either as an editor or as a writer earlier? So research based stuff. I think you like working with that. Have you worked with that earlier too?
Not with something that I had I've done it for gender violence and subjects like that, which I have some knowledge in, but this history I don't. I thought I couldn't do it because I was like, why are you hiring me? You must be desperate. But as it turned out, they believed I could do it, and I was shocked to find I could do it. So that was something that really helped me build my own confidence. So so I've not really gotten so deeply into an area that's actually quite dominated by scholars and experts. So it was cool to kind of get to that reasonable level there.
But have you worked with academic scholars or research scholars, fellows?
No. I haven't. I mean, I've worked with academics, I've worked with universities, but not in not for journal papers and things like that generally.
Okay.
More to do with university projects that were more intended for a larger audience.
Okay. So this time you've been pushed into the swimming pool at the deep end, huh?
Yeah, really stressful because as editors, when you're writing and then you keep editing your own sentences, it gets that conflict between being a good writer and being a good editor can paralyze you. Yes. So that's been challenging. Yeah, and you write one sentence, you're like, oh my God, reword that.
No, I'm also imagining that in a project like this, historic research and all that, history-based research, I mean, there's practically no end to the kind of research you can do, right? You can just go on and on and on.
You're right. Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. You got to know that discipline, when to stop, when to stop digging. And I do tend to go into these, irrelevant kind of go down the rabbit hole, so to speak. So, yeah. So you want to dig up certain things and you know that you shouldn't be wasting your time there, but you still do it. Yeah, you have to know when to stop. So that's the deadline focused attitude has to be there. Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, there's temptation that, you just get into that Bauli, the step well, and then keep going down and get completely lost in the step wells of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
How was editing? Editing? Sorry, go on. No, you started saying something.
No, please carry on.
No. I want you to tell me what it was. You started saying something?
No, it's just that, like after having been in this situation for like a year, so I'm again now going back towards the media side again. So I like to go between media, publishing. So I like to kind of keep both happening. Yeah.
Some sort of balance.
Yeah. And what I like about being a freelancer is that you're not stuck on any one thing. So yeah, that's definitely really important for me to have multiple things achieving different functions for me. Yeah.
So between being a freelancer, as in an independent professional, and being employed somewhere full-time, definitely it's the first, is it? The first choice. First is your choice.
Definitely being a freelancer any day.
Any day.
Yeah. I mean, being employed full-time is just so limiting in so many ways. So no.
And did you take this this decision early on in your career, and did it come out of desperation? Did it come out of happenstance or by design?
Out of pregnancy. And out of having children. Yeah. So that's how I got started in this. And now over time, I've been able to, so now once you're able to build up enough of a clientele that you can have a decent living, which is a long and hard process, it's not easy. Once you get to the point, and then you feel that you can carry on. But yeah, it's definitely got its own stresses that way. You do worry about, how much you're going to earn this month and stuff like that. So yeah.
And the amount could vary, right? Wildly vary from month to month.
Yeah. So you just always, for me, the strategy is always try to get something on a retainership basis. Always keep that going as your stable income, and then do your more freewheeling stuff on the side. Yeah. But that's tough. It takes time to build up that kind of thing.
Right. How about other pressures of family, the gender roles and stuff? So how do you manage that along with your profession and delivering the goods on time and keeping an eye on the paycheck or your income check?
Yeah, I mean, I work the night shift generally, so that's when it's quiet, and I think I can do more, but it's totally quiet than 2 hours of being quiet, then in 6 hours of just sitting around lots of noise and lots of people. So I tend to work very late at night, and I do manage to get things done that way. During the daytime is easy work, and during the nighttime is the intense work.
Oh, okay. And where does the energy for all this come? Yeah. Daytime, nighttime, Sara time, work. Something
no, Sara time kaha work. I mean,
something or the other
we do tend to have dry spells, I mean, yeah, we as editors, we do have nice vacation periods that we didn't necessarily ask for. That happens. So, yeah, we get breaks.
So, do you follow a method to compartmentalize work? I mean, beyond the easy work and deep work, beyond that, you also have writing, you have household responsibilities and stuff. Your brats drive you mad, you drive them mad. So, how do you compartmentalize? If at all, if you do that at all.
I do, of course. I mean, you have to pace yourself, not have too many things going, not have, after a point, you just drop the, 2,000-3,000 rupee wala, ke usko proofread kar do, usko edit kar lo wala project, you let go of that stuff after a while. And then I decided that, I'm going to first, I'm going to save this day for this project and this day for that project. So I split up the week into different intense projects. And though I'm going to be starting something that's also going to require daily commitment, so I'm going to have to figure out how to compartmentalize that too. But yeah, you can't do too much stuff at one go. I can't.
No, neither can I. So I can at best work for about 2 or 3 hours at peak creativity and efficiency, Uske baad my graph starts sliding and I have to take a breather.
Yeah.
And then I could
but
come
how
back
creative is the work you're doing currently? Like do you find it different from mechanistic work, just editing something and actually writing your own content? I mean, I'm sure you find a difference too.
Yes.
What it takes out of you.
Yes. Also, I realize that even within editing, so let's take that for example, structural editing is the more creative part of that work, because that's how I see that, and which is why I always keep structural editing for the early mornings, which is my mind is fresh and I'm kind of raring to go. Okay. So my creative juices are flowing, and I must keep it for that time. Similarly, when I'm writing an original piece, I must keep it for the morning. When in other words, anything that has to do with ideation, creativity, I need to dig deep into my reserves. I keep that for the first half of the day. Lunchtime ke baad to mera gaya. My fuse go. So I have a slack time, and then I get back to the easy stuff in the evening. That's how I compartmentalize.
Yeah. My productive time is like basically from 11 to 3. Okay. So that's the writing time, and the other time is but nothing is really simple. Editing is of course very intense. It can be, if you're rewriting stuff and work like that, can be really, really hard. Yeah, but less anxiety provoking than writing. So I find that doable.
And do you, like many of us, find copy editing very intense?
I love copy editing.
No, you love it, but you find it very intense. Does it take a toll on your physically, on your energy, on your whatever? It does to me.
Oh yeah.
I can't do that for more than 2 hours at a stretch for sure. Then I must give a large gap before I come back to it. So maybe I'm just wired that way. I'm wondering how you are.
Well, I find copy editing very soothing, and I just love it. And the other stuff stresses me out, but copy editing, no. I like copy. Yeah. Okay, the creative stuff doesn't stress you out. So I'm not one of those people who's like, I'm creating something beautiful. I'm like, oh, the pain of this. But it's worth it when you produce something decent.
Yeah. Yes. And you've edited children's books, right?
Yeah, for a while I did work for editing children's books. Yeah, for about like a couple of years.
So where was that? Were you working full time somewhere, or were you indie even then?
This was before I got married. So this was full time.
Okay.
This was This was a company called Q2A Media, and they used to take on packaging and publishing work for different publishers in the US, like, Capstone and HarperCollins and all those. So they used to do books for them on the cheap. So yeah, that kind of scene.
Okay, and they used to send you the editing bit on the cheap.
No, they were okay. They were okay. It was decent. It was really cool learning how to make wireframes and kid stuff. I mean, I would have stuck out in that area if it was worthwhile, but I didn't.
Did you work on picture books also in that time?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wrote for them, and they were kind enough to credit me for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how was that experience, and is that something that you would love to go back to now that you have 2 kids at home all the time?
Yeah, I would love to, but I don't know. I haven't really had the opportunity. It is a lot of fun, definitely. I mean, especially if you're working with editors who are better than you wherever you're working, that's what really, makes you feel good. Doesn't matter what the genre is.
How long have you been working? 16 years, 17, 20?
Yeah, maybe 15, 16 years. Yeah.
15, 16 years.
Yeah, I mean, even as a teenager, I used to like write and for teens today and all those things. So yeah.
Thoda pocket money mila kya?
हाँ मिलता था 500 रुपए.
Okay. So from the time you started working professionally, not as a teen, as an adult, to now, so in these 15 or 16 years, in what chief ways have you evolved as a professional, as a writer, as an editor, overall as a professional, as a business person?
So in terms of evolution, that term always confuses me because what do you mean by evolution? Do you mean in terms of how I've improved my lot in life?
What are the major shifts you've seen in yourself is what I mean.
Yeah, no, of course, more confidence over time, definitely. Though one should never be overconfident because that's when you stop learning. And definitely. Like, I'm not afraid to ask for things that I feel might be my due, not in an entitled way, but this is what I can do. This is my value. Take it or leave it. Be ready to turn down projects if you feel that people aren't going to treat you right. Like, I think many of us would agree with this, that it's okay even if they sometimes pay you a little bit less, but they don't treat you with respect. You don't have to stand for it. So that confidence to turn down jobs where there are red flags being raised, for example. So, just don't take everything that comes along. You don't need to do that after a certain point. In your younger days, you're like, kuch bhi kar lo, experience mil jayega. This is what I need to do. And then you have this kind of a slightly desperate mentality, which you need to be at that point. It's okay. But after a certain point, you kind of draw the line and you value yourself, which is what we started this conversation talking about.
Correct.
So, yeah, stuff like that. And of course, and also, like, I'm probably less cocky than I used to be. Lots of people are very proudly talk about how they are grammar Nazis, which is a horrible term.
But they like horrible term. I loathe it.
Yeah, I hate it. Absolutely.
Chalo, high five karte hain us pe.
High five ho gaya.
Yes, go on.
So, and early on you were a little bit arrogance of youth, happens, and then you're like, oh, my English is so much better than other people, or these illiterate writers, they don't know what they're doing. So you have this kind of nasty attitude,
right?
And that makes you a worse editor actually.
Absolutely.
And you're more interested in correcting people and proving your superiority. So you drop that charade. You focus on your own work, but you don't focus on trying to drag down other people. I mean, that's really rampant in this field, unfortunately. Mocking people for how they write or speak or whatever.
I think one of the beautiful things.
I think I'm evolved as a person and don't do that now.
You don't do that, yeah. No, just taking off from that.
Now. Yeah, that's my evolution in my character.
Yeah, right. Ye jo last point bola aapne, I find that very interesting. I completely agree with that. I think as editors, one of the most beautiful, most important chodo, wo to hai hi, but one of the most beautiful things that we should do, is to lift up the writing of our writers, right? Of our authors, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, the grammar Nazi, that kind of arrogance, that kind of thing doesn't work at all. Yeah, it's so, I don't know, self-defeating, I find.
Yeah, it is. Definitely. I mean, there's no, especially when you're working with a writer, you need to drop that attitude and you need to stop thinking that you can correct people on their language when you're having a casual conversation with them.
Right.
So those attitudinal shifts need to take place to make you more empathetic and more receptive to the kind of content you're dealing with. You have to see what does it say. And this time of things, they may be very well written, but they're actually rubbish content. So you need to be able to distinguish those things.
And also
discernment.
Yes, and also give the feedback in a very respectful and in a very supportive kind of manner.
Yeah, Absolutely, and but also expect respect back as an
Yeah, of
editor.
course.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right, right.
So
So,
it's quite a little dance.
definitely, it's a tricky dance.
Yeah.
So, would you say that you've been kind of, I don't know, lucky or fortunate in finding good dance partners, this kind of dance partners so far? What has your experience with clients been?
Um, it's just become so much better for me ever since I dropped the arrogance.
I
And
see.
yeah, and even when you're working in newsrooms, even if a reporter, maybe writing from a far-flung, city in Orissa or somewhere, the English may not be anything, but you can often see the work they've done, the investigation they've done, to be able to see the value in that and to be able to highlight that. I think that's the really important thing. You can't just sit there and say, "Arey, isko likhna nahi aata."
Oh,
So that makes you work in a newsroom environment really well. So which is something I really love about working in news.
in news, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I keep doing that. I'm going to start again, and I keep doing that stuff too.
Right. So I don't know, but I just get the sense, and I could be completely off the mark. But were you like that? Did you have an attitude earlier?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course,
Yes.
I did. I know I was horrible. I was a little twitch. Yeah. No, yeah, I did. So you asked about evolution, so that made me think that how your attitude as an editor, as you evolve in your field,
Yes,
you
yes,
become
yes.
more, yeah. Like again, you develop discernment. What's important, what's not.
So how did you develop this realization, this particular aspect of dropping your attitude, that arrogance, that chip on the shoulder? And so was it a series of small events, series of things that happened over a period of time, or was it one jarring incident that happened, that a slap in your face? Why did you and how did you wake up? I'm very curious to know.
I think through working with other really good editors who were like much more experienced and much better than me, and seeing their
Okay.
attitude. I mean, through osmosis, as they say. When I saw them valuing pieces of writing that I was laughing at, I
Ah,
kind of rethought my attitude
oh,
a
how
little
beautiful. Yeah, how nice. Yes, yes.
bit. Yeah. So you learn right from other people. Like your own arrogant little bubble has to
Of
be burst
course,
at
of
some point.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always helps to
And
have good
writing
mentors,
myself,
good.
whenever I started writing, I realized how hard it is. Yeah, yeah, very much so. Very much so. Just being around them, so you do learn to behave yourself.
Okay, so you dropped your attitude, you gained confidence, this mutuality that we spoke about earlier, so give and take of respect and
Yeah.
demanding fair share of the of for the value that you're bringing to the table. So I picked these three up. Any other thing, any other shift that you've noticed within you
I mean, there's always the technical shifts. I mean, how you get better in your field over time, of
at
course. And
work?
yeah, of course. And so that's one thing which, I mean, you want me to talk about that, like which aspects grew better and which didn't. I mean,
Okay.
so those things, that's different, and then how your personality changes. So the soft skills and the actual technical skills that you have, they're both two different things.
Right, right.
So yeah, what would you like me to focus on?
No, 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 no. So that's fine. That's fine. So, what do you think? What would you recommend is a good bedside manner for an editor? What's the right healthy bedside manner that works for the editor and for the writer? What is that?
Bedside. I don't think you should pander to writers, and that doesn't help them, and it doesn't help your editing either. So I think a fair degree of brutality is important, but politely, honestly, respectfully said. You do try to, of course, sandwich it between what you do think works and what you think doesn't. But yeah, you have to point out issues in a very, but not in a personal way, but in a very matter of fact way.
Right,
So I do believe that honesty is really important. Yeah.
right, right.
So not sugarcoating things too much.
Okay, okay. And do you help writers out with suggestions on how their writing can be improved? Do you take that on seriously?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, you do give suggestions sometimes when I do work with other writers.
Hmm.
But what often ends up happening is when you're very pressed for time, you often just end up reworking the person's entire piece. For example, like in a news environment, for example, you just rewrite the whole damn thing. And now some writers
Yeah,
really hate that. Yeah,
right.
yeah, and some are really grateful for it. So that can be tricky. Some are like,
Hmm.
oh, बहुत अच्छा piece बना दिया उसको, and some are like, this is not what I wrote. So you have to
Right.
really know. So you got to kind of keep the writer involved. I think that's a respectful thing to do. play things back to them and kind of engage with them.
Yeah, and never ever give them the feeling that you run away with their script, right?
Yeah, totally.
As a writer, what's the kind of so we mentioned that you don't what I said earlier, that you take on these important themes and you write about them forthrightly in a very candid manner, and so what is the climate in which we writers exist today? Do you think we're getting publications and media and generally editors at various places are getting more what do I say, politically correct? On the one hand, is there more wokeism, unnecessary wokeism? So what's the stuff happening in the writing landscape?
You're talking about feature writing for publications.
I'm talking about journalism. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, you have a whole variety of organizations out there producing all types of content. So if you're woke, you know where to go, and if you're not, you know where to go, and if you belong to a right-wing ideology, you also know where to go. So it depends on how much you can impress the top publications in those areas and try to get a gig or two there. So yeah, I mean there's everything out. I mean, you don't have to be a very good writer either. So there's something for everyone actually. I mean, because it's content, as they say, is king, so it's all over the place. So if you want to start out writing and get a byline, I mean, there's whatever your ideological bent, you could do it. Technically speaking.
So where in this landscape do you fit yourself, and what kind of publications do you like to write for?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to now make more of a career in that area, writing, which was never really my focus.
Feature writing.
So I'm trying to make it more feature writing. Yeah. So, and maybe even writing my own thing at some point. I think all of us want to be novelists over here. I'm sure every single person here wants to write one. So, yeah. Do you?
I don't know if I want to write a novel, but I've already written a book, and I definitely think there are more books in me. Yeah. So I mean, this is 4 years ago. So, but I definitely
awesome,
think there are more books.
So that's the next level.
So yes, books, yes, for sure. I don't know if that will be a novel, but you're right.
Whatever books. Yeah, sure.
Practically, all of us want to write a book.
Yeah. So
where on the horizon is your book?
I've been trying to muster up the courage to write one, but I've just never really gotten around to it. I mean, just writing like first drafts and chunking them, because then your editorial eye gets activated and you're like, oh my God, this needs a full rework. Yeah. So that's the problem with being an editor and trying to write.
Correct. The writer in you is always clashing with the editor, coming up against the editor.
Yeah, at the same time, because first you write rubbish and then you go and fix it later. I mean, there should be stages, but as an editor, you're doing things simultaneously. The processing is not happening at separate times, and that makes it harder, I think, to write properly. I mean, write confidently.
And you've not found a way yet to keep one hat away and wear only one hat at a time, the writer's hat?
No, if anyone has, they should let me know. I haven't figured it out.
No, very quickly, well, I mean, you can keep talking about this, but what I have found useful in this regard is to generally just talk myself for a period of time, saying, I'm approaching this as a writer, and I mean self-talk, really talking to myself and saying, this is what I've given birth to. This has been born in my mind, my imagination, or whatever. So, and this is something that I'm just going to write, and it is my first milestone is to just get these thoughts on paper. So I've told myself that in the early days, when I wasn't used to this, all right, this compartmentalization, etc., and I found that doing this and putting maybe 200, 300 words initially down on paper every day helped me get into the groove.
Yeah. You have to find a way around it, but that battling never really stops. I can't completely.
No, at one.
Like, I will sit and.
What I mean to say is, at one point.
I'll sit over a sentence for like half an hour.
At one point, I just said, chuck everything, screw everything. I'm not an editor now. So, goddamn, whatever happens, I'm just going to first write. All right. And I think it took me some time to get used to it, but I did. I think maybe you could try that, something like that.
That's a great approach.
Talk and preparation and all that.
Yeah. True. Yeah, so definitely.
If you write a book, not if you write a book, the book that you have in mind, that's a novel? Is that fiction?
Well, it's helping that I'm writing a book right now, but I'm a little bit relaxed because my name is not going to be on the cover. So it's like, okay, this is my practice. So I'm kind of seeing it as a kind of a tapasya. So, to try to get over that writing
Some
anxiety.
practice.
Yeah. And what's happening? I mean, you're churning out like you've already written 100,000 words, and I'm like, it's part of one cohesive product. So it's So I'm hoping that by next year I'll have more confidence to sort of go with my own thing.
What will your own book be about? Broadly speaking.
I always wanted to write a nice domestic noir kind of a murder mystery.
Wow,
yeah, I'm inspired by my RWA and things like that. Just the people around us. So, yeah.
Who just keep killing each other or what?
Their fights. Yeah, killing each other, having affairs with each other, all of that. So that stuff really interests me. That's
so
the kind of genre.
You have rich material in Gurgaon for this.
Yeah, that's true. I do. So that's my excuse for kind of engaging in lots of neighborhood WhatsApp chats and trying to instigate people a little bit. Yeah.
What is success to you? What is your own way of looking at success? What's important and what goes into that mix called success?
Success sounds like some kind of an end point. I guess for me, it's about progress. About making progress in your life rather than achieving this kind of thing and you say I'm successful now. So yeah, it's just about progress, about just being better, a year later than you were last year. So so that's how you measure it, through where you are in your life, how you're doing better than before. That's it. I mean, like, I don't have a definition of success, and you're just better in various ways. Like, your skills are better. You may be earning a little bit better, but that's not essential because that's not something we can always control. So yeah. So and just growth to me is pain, and that's something you got to. I mean, without that it's not possible. So yeah,
getting better in your craft, getting better at work, and all the other things that are important for work, right?
Yeah, be uncomfortable. That's my biggest learning, that you have to be uncomfortable.
So being uncomfortable is also tricky. It's a tricky balance. It's a rope that one has to walk. So without falling into a pit, so how do you do that? So you keep yourself going. You always aim for something better, but you're also uncomfortable at that time. How do you live with discomfort? How does discomfort not lead to for want of a better word, slightly exaggerated, destruction?
Well, there are different types of discomfort. I guess there's certain types of discomfort that nobody should tolerate, like disrespect from other people, for example. If you're in an abusive work environment, that's not the kind of discomfort you need to live with. Okay, so that's out. But the kind of discomfort where you feel that maybe when you feel you've reached your level of incompetence, and you feel that can I do this work? When you start questioning your abilities, that's when you got to keep pushing. So it's not about other things like nasty people or work that just makes you miserable and is boring, and not stuff like that. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's a constant battle and a questioning and answering and toing and froing with yourself.
Yeah. When you're learning stuff, when you're building skills, it is going to be hard, right? Always. You're going to keep falling off, and you got to be willing to do that, or you're not going to grow.
Testing your limits.
Yeah. Not too much also. I mean, not that I'm going and scaling mountains.
Not crash testing your limits, but testing your limits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What next for you? So next couple of years, you did say you want to get back. Of course, you started writing more and more, and you've taking on newsy projects, or you want to take on newsy projects, right? Writing projects.
Yeah, I'm about to soon. I'm most likely, yeah. So yeah, just keep things a little eclectic, variety. That's really important to me. Not get because like there's this Chinese term, it's called Tang Ping. Have you heard of it? It means that it's called lie flat, which means you do the bare minimum to get by. Okay. So yeah. So to me, and you can kind of translate that in any way that makes it you, but it's not so it's important to avoid any kind of ownership over my time. So yeah. So I want to keep that going, but in a way that's financially sustainable for me, right? So just keep that freedom going and try to earn better for fewer projects, things like that. So those are goals, which one I'm meeting slowly. So yeah, but obviously it's a combination of luck and work.
Right. So far in your career, have you been a river or an arrow?
What is the difference between a river and an arrow? What is like a shooting kind of a person?
River as in, sorry, a river a river comes from the mountains, stumbles over rocks, meanders, goes here and there, finally reaches destination, right? But an arrow is straight and sharp and absolutely sticks to the straight and narrow. So have you...
Yeah, river or a spreading puddle or more like a river. Yes, I guess ups and downs. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Because I've never really been into the whole corporate ascent kind of focus. I mean, that's just something I've never chased. So it's about a different kind of growth.
Right. Absolutely.
While also trying to make money, which is you got to kind of keep that balance happening. So you can't become impractical unless you have some kind of sugar daddy, which one doesn't normally. So so it's really important to kind of maintain that balance. Like you have to kind of focus on the practical aspects of your business as well.
So what would you like to tell us about, have you cracked, I don't know if there's a formula at all or the approach that you follow, but how do you think one can be a river, so have that independence, be sluggish, meander, do all of that, but also earn, because you
not necessarily sluggish.
No. Sorry, just hear me out. So have this business income goal, you have that objective, you want to grow. So when you pick projects, how do you pick projects? What kind of projects do you say no to? In your own small way over a period of time, have you learned to market yourself at all? So how does it work? How do you get projects? And how do you pick some and leave some, if at all?
Okay, so obviously in media, often it's a lot of word of mouth. So that's so rather than you going and this is again a lot to do with also where you started out, your luck, your trajectory. So that has a lot of bearing on it. So that's been my experience, is that word of mouth is what matters. You just keep proving yourself wherever you're working, and opportunities then follow. So I've not really had to do that much self promotion, but to be able to sell skills like that, and also not just sticking to the usual tried and tested things like LinkedIn, which can be really a depressing kind of a cesspool, in terms of the kind of opportunities you sometimes get there and the kind of fraudulent employers you might find there. Because I've tried it, and for me, it's not been so great. So, also trying to, hit outside the usual zone. For example, getting the gig with Rabbit Hole was about going to Singapore job boards and trying to see freelance projects that might pay me in dollars, so, and sometimes, and 10 people won't reply to you, it'll just be black hole. But then one person will write back to you, and then you can get a decent gig, and that's really helping you grow, and pays all right, and that's how you do it. So you have to keep taking those chances and kind of go beyond the usual kind of tried and tested places where you might look for opportunities.
Interesting.
And not the same old places. Like look beyond LinkedIn. I don't know why I loathe it, so I guess I'm sure other people do like it and it's worked for them. But
No. I'm saying I think many writers and editors, for sure, many people I know from this set don't like LinkedIn. I think
I hate it.
There's some basic disconnect between us and the LinkedIn personality, as types.
Oh my God.
And possibly, where the problem is, possibly. Two areas. One is that is a very corporatized kind of very professional. Most of them are job seekers, right? So the corporate lingo, the corporate climate is very, very much prevalent on LinkedIn. Whereas we're completely anti-corporate, right?
Exactly.
Uncorporate. Number two, I think there's a lot of self-promotion that I see on LinkedIn, which is quite brazen. All right. More than the healthy dose. So I think that's the second thing that might be turning us off from LinkedIn. Possibly.
It's kind of an empty kind of self-promotion, self-praise and bragging. So like there's not so much to show for it. I mean, I don't know, I guess it's not visible to me. So LinkedIn. I'm not that I haven't tried my luck at LinkedIn, but
But I'll tell you another thing. So I am on LinkedIn, and I'm.
So am I.
And of late, in the last few months, I have really, cranked my machine up and become more active in terms of interactions, conversations, and also posting. And I do find that at some level, I'm happy about it. But I'm happy because I'm doing it my way. I'm not doing it the way the tribe or everybody else does that. So I think if you can chalk out your own way of engaging with the community on LinkedIn, and focusing more on quality of connections rather than quantity of connections or quantity of posts. I think if you were to just do some calibration like that, I think Asavari it'll work. It's working for me.
I guess like job hunting on LinkedIn, which is the ostensible purpose of it, seems to be very futile. Because I mean, I see what you're saying about networking and making connections, sure.
Right.
But have you seen the job listing on LinkedIn?
I don't look there at all. I just don't look at job
I do
listings
look there because the one place where I was working, it shut down, which was HuffPost, and then I was without my kind of a solid gig that does most of the bill paying. And so there was a time when I was trawling LinkedIn and the rest of it, and it was profoundly depressing. And it's just really sad opportunities over there. So how do you go forward in your career like that? I mean, you do take a few of those out of because we all sometimes go through a sense of desperation where we want to just take whatever we can get, and that doesn't end ever. But when I kind of broke out of the LinkedIn mentality and kind of tapped into my own personal networks and different job boards, it worked out better for me. Old net people, a boss from like 10 years ago could suddenly give you a great opportunity. So you got to keep those real collections alive if you made a good impression.
Correct. And, I quite like the point you made earlier about doing your work well, focusing on each project and doing a good job of that, right?
Yeah.
And making that client happy. So I completely have embraced that philosophy. It's beautiful, it's just one thing at a time. And many of the project inquiries for me have come from word of mouth, just like you said.
That's like 90% of it for me.
Right.
Yeah, so it's almost like a little thread that I can see. That kind of dating back 15 years, you work with someone, and then they told someone, and they told someone, and that's the way it builds up. I mean, So I mean, obviously, I have gone out and approached people. Like, for example, I have a degree in psychology. So around 2017, I reached out to this person who runs this e-counseling business called ePsy Clinic. And I just wanted to try doing digital marketing for her. And so I got that opportunity. It didn't pay very well, but it was a great way to learn a new skill. But it was not through a job portal, but through finding my area of interest and then kind of targeting that in a very specific way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that approach, works more than a general, like hit apply, that quick apply thing, that button. Like the most, who's going to get a job like that? Yeah.
Absolutely, man. There'll be hundreds of applications pouring in.
Yeah, it's horrible. 300 applications for one miserable job with no salary listed, nothing. I mean, of course, there's a huge power imbalance between us and our employers. So that's a very sad thing. Not just in editing, but in general.
Any field. Yes, I agree. So when we spoke last, we did touch upon this minor matter of money, right? Of rates, of fees. So, as a writer and as an editor, I'm taking them separately. Do you think it's possible, and if it's possible, how tough or easy it is to just focus on editing and make one's living, a healthy income out of that? And similarly, the same question applies to writing too. I've lost you.
Yeah.
I think, your visual is frozen, for some reason.
Oh.
Okay. No. Now you're moving,
okay
but a little. Yeah, you're okay. Yeah, go on. So money matters is what I'm asking about.
Yes. So I mean, I don't know about other areas of editing, like academic editing and all that. So I can't speak about all that. But in the kind of work that I like to do, which is news editing and popular nonfiction, I think I've lost you now.
No,
okay,
I'm here.
Have I lost you? Okay, you're back. Okay,
no.
So my broad areas are news editing and popular nonfiction. Okay. So over there, making money is possible if you it depends on your client. It has to be for example, I tend to independent clients, the bigger one, then you are going to get paid better generally. And especially, your years of experience matter also. Like what I can make now, with 15 years of experience, it is much more substantial than what it was, like, say, 5 years ago even. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you have to kind of, they have to know what they're getting and they have to see the values. That's why I say you have your artifacts, like you have your books And and I may have articles and I may have books with my name on it, and then I'm like, this is what you have to be able to show that, and then you can command decent rates and not be afraid to ask for higher rates and to negotiate from a position of some power.
Yeah. But just
don't
be
start
fair
out
to yourself.
Yeah, and don't negotiate on their behalf in your brain. Like, can they afford this much? Can they not? Don't think about what they can afford
Don't
or cannot.
second guess them.
Yeah. No, and ask around to see what the rates are. Like, I was undercharging all the time, and then I spoke to people in my field, and then I stopped undercharging, and that really worked out well. So just talk about salary, talk about money. Don't not have those conversations, because employers really benefit from that,
Correct.
from us not talking about money. But money is a root topic.
Right.
So as editors, I think we need to all discuss our rates, and I think that way we can all lift each other up.
And be very upfront about them, right?
Yeah, be upfront about it, because it varies. I mean, some of my jobs that paid peanuts were really worth doing, and I did them because they gave me things like a lot of credit. So you have to see what are you looking to get out of any one project.
Correct.
It's not just always about the money.
Not just the money alone, while that is important.
Yeah, but you do need to have obviously something that does pay enough. Yeah, you have to kind of decide like how much you want to earn, and then try to see how you can meet that without killing yourself. Right. So and it takes time. It takes months to kind of build that up. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So in that sense, do you think working with markets abroad, focusing on expanding your work to markets abroad also makes sense, and how easy or difficult that is?
It isn't easy, because obviously I've
tons of competition.
more rejections than not, and I've turned down some because horrible people.
Okay.
But it's doable. It's doable if you can demonstrate your skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's tough, but it can be done, and I have done, and it's doable.
So what's the kicker there for international markets? Let's say Europe, America, Singapore. Let's take 2 or 3 markets like that. What really works, which is different or which is extra than what an Indian client might expect from an editor?
What they might expect from an editor.
Yes.
For international jobs, you have to go through the usual process of giving tests and so on. I mean, so you have to do that sometimes. Sometimes you succeed, sometimes you don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, what works is showing some expertise in a field, like some demonstrable area. Like even if it's a degree, whatever, you may have earned it like 10 years ago. I mean, that's going to matter in the end. Yeah. And in terms of also working, I mean, for me, this is more about a news thing. So I work with news organizations, so it's a kind of a different ball game.
Right.
Like for example, so every time I have been paid in foreign currency, it's been more in the news area than other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there are some independent kind of people around, but then you have to really, really do your smell check and see what they're up to. Yeah, you got to be really careful. About independent employers.
Right. Last question before I throw it open to the audience. So when you're an editor, and separately when you're a writer, when you're writing and when you're editing, what's your mind zone? What are you? What happens in your mind?
Okay, well, when I'm editing, of course, unfortunately, that slight sense of superiority does arise. And when I'm writing, an acute sense of inferiority.
Inferiority, huh?
Yeah. So it's different levels of confidence that I'm operating with. So when I'm editing, I normally feel quite confident and I feel like quite a champion. And when I'm writing, I feel like a novice. So it's two very different. That's why, and I want to change that, right? That's why I'm trying to focus more on the writing now. So I develop some confidence there too. But yeah, so that's how it is right now.
Interesting reply. So our friends here, will you please unmute yourselves and ask? I'm going to look at the chat box first. I'm going to see if there are questions here. Wait. Okay. So yeah, Jyotirmoy had said, without an attitude and a dose of arrogance, can you be forthright as a writer? That's one of the best bits about your writing, as in rabbit hole. Good. I agree that a little bit of, I don't know about arrogance, but yes, you must be forthright. I do believe that. Anna says, Bharti says, once I stumbled on the profile of an ex-colleague on LinkedIn, it left me wondering, when did this person do all these activities?
Yeah, what's it with LinkedIn? I hate that. Blowing yourself up. Oh,
Baba, every other
that day I felt so inadequate. Okay.
Yeah,
to be honest. And
No,
as
I completely agree. Every other person on my timeline is always about, I'm humbled. No, but the point is they'll start with I'm humbled, okay?
Oh
I
my God,
literally
yeah.
was scratching my head. Okay, when did this person do all this?
Yeah. It's
Right. That's one of the
That
really
opened
downsides.
my
off-putting.
eyes that many of the profiles must be at least partially fake.
Fake.
I don't know.
Not,
No, yeah.
I have a point there. Not really. If you actually jot down, even some of us regular guys, if you actually jot down what all you have done in the, let's say, last 15 or 20 years, it amounts to a lot. And you will see a lot of us have actually done some really good work.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm not talking about the specific case which Anna's talking about, but generally. So, in a sense, what I'm trying to say is it does help. And for some of us, I'm talking about this LinkedIn business. See, you have to go out there and sell yourself, right? Especially for us people who are in the background.
Yeah.
So I worked in the industry for almost 20-25 years and nobody knew me. And there was a time when I started finding it very difficult to get work.
Yeah.
I used the last year, the COVID period, to push myself out a little, and actually it has been beneficial.
Yeah.
Jyotirmai, can if I can butt in, how do you do that? Because I'm on the same boat now. I have quit my job. Yeah, sometime later I have to start searching for some freelance. So I would like you guys to give me some tips, how not to undersell myself and how to sell myself. Something like that.
Okay, in my case, first thing is I found a group of like-minded people through the Indian Copy Editors Forum. And I'm saying that because it did make a difference, because there was a lot of information flowing through on rates and also best practices and also how to conduct yourself in a way, not to be so self-effacing, right? And then also I found somebody who sort of helped me with social media. I'm not comfortable with social media even now.
Me too.
But she put me through the pace, and one of the simple tricks. This is what happened. So I had this whole thing about a book. So I do books. So it's the books get sold by the cover of the book. So how do I actually tell people what work I have done? I can't really show those edited parts, right? Can I?
Yeah, same thing for me.
No. So we had a simple two strategies. One was, as I said, which boosted my confidence was, as I said, when I jotted down all that I had done and made, and there were certain processes I followed, I really found that I had actually done fantastic work. I was just giving myself short shrift. And, and then we, of course, designed. So I'm just saying, you have to start, first of all, feeling confident that you're good.
Yeah, that's true.
Within me, I know I'm good. Okay.
So good means in the sense, all of us do some good work, some learning work.
Exactly. Yeah, depends. From project to project, it can vary. Yeah.
And now there are various ways of designing your profiles and all. This is exactly what a lot of the talk in ICF happens. You can actually go back to a lot of the talks last year. There's hell of a lot of quality stuff there. If you spend some time listening to the cohort, you will feel much better about yourself, and you will find tactics, and you will also find resources.
Yeah.
Jyotirmai, I want to just, so baat sahi hai, absolutely agree. But I think what Asavari and I initially were talking about, the point, at least personally, that disturbs us, that's what we're saying, is that, see, it's important for us to put ourselves out there, talk about our work. And you're very right that, that stock taking is something I encourage a lot of people to do. All right. Yeah. Stock taking our own work. And we will realize only when we do that we've done shitloads of good work. Good titles, good stuff that we can be proud of. And we must let the market know about that, because if we don't do that, who else is going to come to our rescue, man? Who else?
But we see, for example, I don't have anything to showcase my work, because all through I worked for all publishers through vendors, through vendor companies, right, in Chennai. So, I don't have anything to show,
Yeah. Anna, what are you really interested in? What are you into?
I'm into editing books.
What are you interested in? What's your subject area that you're really passionate about? Is there anything you're really extra interested in?
Medicine and humanities books, both I enjoy. In humanities, of course, it's a vast area, but I have done political science, a bit of gender studies, development, something.
So you worked already. So you have so much to show for that, probably. Right? I mean, like, you already worked in these areas, right?
Yes, but I don't know how to showcase all these, because they don't give credit to the editors, right? All these academic books, academic writers. Mm-hmm. They're all PhDs and postdoc persons from states, UK and Europe. Mm-hmm. But nobody credits the editors. I mean, that's how the process is. I'm not complaining and all, but how do I showcase my work? That's what I would like to know.
Do you have a blog or something to begin with?
No, I don't write. I'm not very creative, so I don't write.
You know what? I used to say that all the time too, that I don't write, I only edit. But then I'm sure you can write if you've been working with language all this time. So maybe just start in some kind of informal way, make a little blog for yourself and kind of just use that to talk about your experiences, share that on LinkedIn if you have to. So, you're going to have to go out there and do it though. I know it makes you uncomfortable, but that's where you want to be, right?
I agree.
You got to do something you're not comfortable doing.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to go with that discomfort. Anna, you're really fighting it.
So that is something.
And along with that, having a website is important. So I would suggest that would be your step 2. The 2 things that you do. One is to get on social media, like she said, and you can talk about the work you've done, the books you've edited, even though they may not have put that on the cover or inside or whatever. But that is work you've done. Those are titles that you've edited, and that's officially true, right?
Yeah.
So you could start by talking about that. You could join, like Jyotirmoy said, groups, special interest groups like editors groups, including and beyond ICF, and get into conversations. So those 2 are definitely going to help you on social media. And apart from that, I think having a website is definitely important for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, back to Asavari. Nimisha has a question for you. Congratulations, Asavari, for all the great work. As a mother and a freelancer myself, the question is, how do you maintain work-life balance? Also, I understand that there is a lot of thinking involved in your work. How do you plan your writing and work and day? So how do you plan things during the day? Any suggestions?
Yeah, I have to sacrifice Netflix at night sometimes. Yeah. So, so the point is, as freelancers, we can kind of make our own schedules. You have to see what works for you, like at what times your child might be down for a nap, things like that. So you kind of, as Toni Morrison once said, you try to work around the edges of the day, find those corners of the day where you can work, even when, it's really full up with childcare or whatever your responsibilities are. So,
right. So do you have, Asavari, do you have someone to take care of your kids, or you do all of that? So ye sab kaise chalta hai? And then you said that you work for some time. Oh, sorry?
I do not do all of that. No, it's impossible.
Okay. So
of course, yes, we do have somebody who helps from 9 to 6.
Okay.
So we do have that. So I mean, it is very distracted. The whole day is quite chaotic. So
yes.
Like I said, so that's why I've assigned myself the night shift, and that's when I do my thing. And that's really important, that whatever gigs I do, it's important for me to be able to do that and choose my own hours. Otherwise, I can't. Because if you ask me to do 9 to 5, actually, I will fail because I can't think.
Right. So you typically start late in the night, meaning what, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock types?
I may do some kind of light work. I'll do some research and reading or some copy editing in the daytime, maybe. But if it's anything intense, it will be mostly at night.
The heavy lifting happens at night.
Yeah, totally. And and then you set goals for yourself. Like if you have to write a 10,000 word chapter, you try to go with writing 500 to 1,000 words a day, things like that. So you set those goals and you adjust it according to your schedule for the week. Yeah.
Right. Nimisha, does that answer your question? Nimisha, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Asavari, and all the very best. Thanks a lot.
Any other questions, or would anyone like to venture an opinion?
No, I have Ashavari used this word shadowy. So you said the shadowy nature of the work.
Yeah.
So this just maybe why did you use shadowy? Why did it just came up? How did it just come out? Shadow is a little dark. Is our work really that dark?
Well, we aren't exactly in the limelight.
Okay, that way.
That way.
I like the word shadow.
In the shadow.
I thought shadow was a good word. I'm sorry, I'm not my usual self. You might have noticed, and I hope you didn't.
You have a cold. Your voice is nasal.
Yeah, there are a lot of cartons in my house because on Diwali day I was shifting.
Oh.
I'm a shifty character at the moment.
So you inhaled a lot of dust.
Shadowy and shifty.
It's a big pain. It's a big pain.
Yes, Anna, it is a big pain.
Yeah, I have done 4 or 5 times in my life.
No, I've done it many more times, and I've done it from continents, and I've done it from cities, and this is local, and this is all good.
Okay.
And I'm actually on the 3rd floor, top, with a good open space.
Would you like to say something to Asavari, or ask her, or react to something she said?
And Savani, I'm very impressed that much at this time, because I got into editing full time only 16 years ago, and I'm 67. So I'm impressed, and it is encouraging that you are working with editing and copy editing at the same time, because that is where I want to go. I'm also very happy that you've published 4 books. And I also have books that are incomplete. And as people feel like jumping over that boundary that in our head, it's nowhere in the world.
Visible line.
It's only your own. You've made your own bête noire or your own phantoms. And I admit now that it's not a phantom; it's simple laziness.
True.
I'm very impressed that you're not lazy.
I am lazy, Ganesh. That's why I have not written my own book. I mean, certain things that laziness really kicks in, right? When it just challenges you too much. It's too much of a...
That's exciting, because as you can see, I've got my bookshelf in place.
But someone has done. But Ganesh, someone is fiddling with your computer, because I think you have some filter on or something. It's all very hazy to me.
Oh,
your background is
why
very
it's hazy. I'll tell you why it's hazy. Lot of light behind me.
Do you have a grandchild living with you?
Huh?
Do you have a grandchild living with you? Someone fiddling with your comp?
No. There's nobody here.
कुछ नहीं दिख रहा पीछे. आपके पीछे कुछ भी नहीं दिख रहा.
कुछ भी नहीं दिखेगा क्योंकि light है.
अरे light नहीं, वो नहीं कह रहा हूँ. I think there's something about the filter, the setting of zoom itself जो change किया गया है. Because
no,
I can just make out hazy outlines of a cushion and a bookshelf and kuch to. I guess the others will agree with me, or are you seeing something differently?
Yes, the background is hazy.
Because I'm telling you again and again.
Acha, ठीक है.
Without a curtain, the window without a curtain, so it's very bright light, which is the reason I took the place. That I don't need any electrical lights during the daytime. Okay. Now, is this better when I'm covering the whole window?
That's okay. We can go on. No, that's fine.
Okay. So that is, you were having different kinds of hangovers, and I was having a hangover of shifting. And it's the dust that shifting happens that makes me sound nasal. But forget about me. Let's get back to our editing exploits and various challenges that we faced. I feel that the best work I've done also was for a publisher. I did get my name in those books that I done, only because I did so much editing that I wrote the acknowledgements also.
Yeah.
It often happens.
But I learned to work. I learned my work where Vivek had also started working with Aptara, which was tech books at that time. And occasionally, we got a feedback from the author through the whole vendor rigmarole, because I've mentioned this before. Somebody wrote that the Bangladesh war happened in 1973. And we said, no, it was in
71.
Both of us were in college. So you do get through vendors sometimes direct comments and appreciation from the authors as well. I do work only in nonfiction. Recently, I worked on a children's book, which the author has also become a member of ICF. And Priyanka is going to show us her book very soon. It's an interesting book. And the things I do basically are PhD theses. My lazy way out, because I do no promotion.
Is it easy? I mean, so some of those can be written in a quite confounding way, no? I mean, I've seen some,
Yes.
and oh my God, how do you begin?
The thing is that I am at the stage of work where I understand that, see, English is my first language. I went to America as a small child. I never heard any language before English. But I also understand the challenges of people having English as a second language, because I have Hindustani or Hindi as a second language, and I had to make it. So the pain of learning a language that you have to function in is known to me. So what I must say is the PhD scholars usually have excellent domain knowledge.
Right. That's true.
Yes, that's
the learning is very exciting to me. And then putting things in place, you see, the PhD thesis has got a very narrow template. This is the way the titles have to go. This is the way that it begins. This is the way it'll end. It'll have this things. And this is the style of the references.
Very tightly formatted, huh?
Yeah, it's tightly formatted. So once you understand the domain knowledge, what they're trying to say, correcting it is not so painful. I did make a very big mistake, and it wasn't the first time. I hope it's the last time. I took on somebody's memoir through a startup, and it was supposed to be 200,000, 150,000 words. I had no idea what I was getting into. The sample showed me was something very, very polished. And then I got something that seemed to use a voice tool. That means the punctuation was totally off.
Oh God, horrific. Yeah.
And then it turned out that the project was withdrawn by the author. And what I went through is I actually had to be transported to Delhi. I was in a very deep condition of, but I didn't break down. I just worked very hard. I worked hard as I would have maybe 20 years ago, which is not impossible. And I was taken care of very much. And then this thing went through, and it looks, instead of giving me an enhanced rate because the work was so taxing, they're saying that, no, we now don't know how we will be able to do it. So now I'm going to take advances, and I'm going to make a thing that I send X number of words, you send me this much money.
Right.
We'll send you X number of words, and you send me that much money.
That much money.
I have learned this the hard way. Anna, this is especially for you, because you're going to
thank you.
You're going to jump into the pool. We have very, very
everyone's mistake will help others not to commit the same
16th,
thing.
The 16th of August, copy editors webinar. I see a webinar by Michelle Pereira. She's specifically arithmetically perfect about how to value your work and make.
I meant to listen to that. Yeah,
you must watch it, and we're all here to help you.
Thank you.
All the time, anytime.
Wonderful. Yes, absolutely true. Anytime you can reach out to any of us. And Murugaraj, what is it that you want to say? How did you find this conversation? Anything you want to ask Asavari? Deepthi, you want to ask Asavari something? Anyone?
I have always been a mute spectator and a listener, and I don't have any questions. I enjoyed the discussion.
Yes, I'm enjoying listening.
Yeah.
Lovely, excellent. So, sorry?
I also like listening generally.
Yes.
Yeah, we all, I think, listeners more than conversationalists.
More than talkers.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So if there are no more questions, shall we wrap this up?
Yeah.
I want to say one thing more. Thank you to all of you. I want to say sorry I was not able to attend for some time. I want to say that I am a copy editor because it keeps me quiet.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you don't have to speak much.
Yeah, I like that.
Because I talk too much and I need to save my energy.
Something to pull you back.
Perhaps our Reddit speaks louder than, our Reddit speak louder than words.
Yeah, those big red lines. Yeah. Yeah.
The words you throw out, Ganesh, say a lot about you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Very nice. Asavari,
Thank you so much, Ganesh.
Thank you all. Thank you.
No, but I want to ask Asavari, how did you find the conversation? I hope you completely at ease and enjoyed it.
Well, Ganesh, you're a great interviewer, and you can even draw out sworn introverts like me. So that's great. Thank you so much. So
Thanks for coming over.
As paralyzed. Yeah.
So, like I said, it wasn't as bad as you thought it was, right?
No.
It's always that's the good thing about Ganesh. When Asavari just joined the session, she asked, are you going to be the moderator, ensuring that the time and everything is? I said, no, I don't do anything. Ganesh will take care of everything. So as
you do a lot, Murugan, you do a lot.
Always a great.
You are very, very important.
So Murugaraj is the guy who's really behind the scenes for all these webinars and really the technical host. That's a very important role as a technical host.
Yeah, of course.
So thanks for that, Murugaraj.
My pleasure.
And Asavari is very beautiful also.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, that's a compliment. Thank you. I'll inform my husband.
Otherwise, you'll start looking elsewhere, huh?
And thank you for sharing so many good tips, to look outside other than the regular places we look out for jobs. And
if you want to reach out for any kind of, any kind of advice or help or anything, you can just message me anytime, right? If
thank you.
Yes. And I think I can just speak for all of us. You can reach out to any one of us, Anna. I think kind of offer always stands. Right.
Ganesh, can I ask you just one thing, if it's not too late?
No, you can't. It's too late. Well, you can.
Anna, sorry to interrupt. Perhaps this is the shortest conversation that Ganesh has.
Murugaraj, I guess you're right, because his conversation with Dagny, I'm yet to finish. I'm midway through.
Oh, okay.
So in that particular conversation, you mentioned about some curated links where you can advertise yourself or whatever for editors or writers. I don't get that particular word.
Really?
Curated lists for editors.
Well,
do you remember?
No, I don't particularly remember this point, but yes, so there are
well-curated lists. That's the phrase you use.
Yes, go on. So
I was wondering where it is, and because I haven't heard anybody speaking about that.
Okay, got it. So I don't know what all lists Dagny was referring to, because in our field, in this whole space of editing and publishing, there are different kinds of people who put out lists, curated lists of, let's say, editors, book illustrators, people involved in various aspects of publishing.
Okay.
That's where she was coming from, and that's what we were talking about. So when I was asking her about avenues for getting business, she mentioned this list as one of the methods that's worked for her. So she said, and I found that to be true too. So it'd be good if you can find out who it is that are putting out those lists and try to be on those lists. That's the simple point. Try to be on one or two of those lists, and that will send some work your way.
Yeah.
So I will give you an example. Okay, now there is the Himalayan Writing Retreats list of editors, for India. All right. So I am on it, and that has sent some work my way.
Okay.
Whether
Himalayan
Writing Retreat.
Okay.
Just go to their website and or Google them and go to the website. You'll find the list there, I think.
Okay.
That's an example. Now there must be tens or 20 or hundreds of other people who are putting out lists that I don't know about. All right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you could possibly just Google that.
I'll just Google. Okay.
Few
Yeah.
of us, people with different kinds of experience in editing will have different kinds of lists. So they'll know.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
speak to a mix of people, and but this is the essential point.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. You're welcome.
On a related note, Anna,
Yeah.
there's a session we had with the founder of this Himalayan retreat.
Chetan.
Yeah. Her name. What is her name?
No, that's a gentleman, and we have a recording of his in our channel.
Chetan
Okay.
Mahajan.
Check it out. I don't exactly remember the title of the conversation.
Okay.
But, I mean, it was a presentation made by him.
It's not that lady who is an anthropologist
Anna.
or archaeologist, anthropologist or archaeologist
Anna,
who is.
Suno. This gentleman's name is Chetan Mahajan.
Yes.
Okay.
So you could use that as a keyword, but anyway, go to the YouTube channel of ICF. Okay?
Sure. Yeah.
I think like Murugraj says, scroll down and you'll find the video.
Okay.
All right, folks, it's a wrap. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Asavari, thanks again.
Thanks a lot.
And,
Thanks for your time.
Yes,
All
yes.
of you.
And
Okay,
audience,
thanks for coming.
lovely, respectful as always. Thank you. I think that's one of the defining features of our talk shows. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
See you.
Bye,
everyone.
Asavari.
Bye.